This week on Dan Really Likes Wine with Norman Goodfellows, a return to somewhere I haven't been for a while. In fact, I've only been here once before. This is Brookdale Estate in Paarl, and when I came down for the first time a few years ago, it was just finding its feet as a newly reinvented space under this very exciting young English entrepreneur who decided wine in South Africa was the way to go. Well, I'm back in a restaurant that wasn't here on my last visit with the same young English entrepreneur who hasn't aged a day and drinking some wine on a perfect Paarl Friday afternoon. Tim Rudd, lovely to be back, and congratulations, because since my last visit you've taken what was already a beautiful space and made it even more so.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. A lot of hard work for a lot of people to get this far.
Let's go back to the very beginning. You came upon this space, which certainly had some wine history. I think you've got vines here that go back to 1985. There is some wine background to this, but it wasn't exactly a beautifully working, smoothly operating space when you stumbled upon it. No,
not at all. I mean, the vineyard was mostly derelict. As you said, we had the 1985 block, which was still in reasonable condition, but needed some work. Another block from '93, which will become an old vine block in another few years. But the rest of it was very badly virused and mostly interplanted with alien vegetation. So the first job was to clear everything, to get rid of the alien vegetation, both in the vineyards and in the valleys, and then start to put a planting plan together.
So how does an Englishman find himself in Paarl with a derelict wine farm deciding this is the next chapter of my story?
So my father's been working in South Africa for a very long time, since the early 90s. So that's my connection with South Africa. I've been here a lot over the years. My connection with farming is that I have been involved extensively with a fruit farm in Chile. And that's been over since 30 years, I think, probably. So farming in South Africa, that's the two connections. Wine is a passion I've had since I was in my late teenage years, I have to say. And it kind of developed from there. So I wanted to spend more time here. We decided with my father, to seek out somewhere that we could make special.
For most people in your position, it is, let's find a nice boutique wine farm that's already running very smoothly. I can maybe change the name to honor my mother or some family history, and kind of everything is already taken care of. This was not your approach. You took on something that wasn't going to change overnight and was going to require a lot of hard work. Was it a bit more work than you anticipated, but also has it given you the reward that you were hoping for?
Well, yes and yes, the answer to those two questions. I've never been someone to follow the crowd, and it would have been easy for me, I suppose, to have bought something that was established, but you never get a chance to stamp your name on that. You know, if you buy something which is already planted with vines, then you have to go with what's already planted there. This gave us a blank canvas that we could plant what we felt was right for the area, and what wines we wanted to make. So, you know, those are the two factors really that played into it. The fact that it is one of the most beautiful spots, I think, in the Western Cape is a bonus on top of that.
When you started off, you were the equivalent of, I'm going to begin a village football team, I'll get Cristiano Ronaldo to be my captain. How did you persuade Duncan Savage that this was a project to get involved with?
Well, Duncan and I met. Actually, I first encountered Duncan's wine at a wine tasting at Berry Brothers in Rudd in London. And then quite by chance, I met somebody who knew him reasonably well and introduced me. This would be back in 2015 or 16. So Duncan came up to have a look. We had a long chat. He went away to think about it. We had another long chat. And Duncan agreed to come along and consult for us, which I think is the most important decision we've made here. I mean, he's been astonishingly good at creating, or helped to create, this property, and has become a great friend as well, which is another added bonus.
He has also been able to use the vehicle that is Brookdale to continue what I think is, along with his wine, his greatest contribution to South Africa, which is nurturing young talent. And he gave you not just his own expertise, but this largely unknown young winemaker from Mannenberg called Chiara Scott. And it was here, she has now moved on, but she became a rock star in a very short space of time.
Yeah, well, she's a fabulously talented young lady, and really fun to work with. So uh, she was instrumental in helping to develop the cellar, because we've obviously had to build a new cellar here, and she put her imprint on the wine she's produced, and the results have been phenomenal.
She has handed over the reins to what marks a really exciting new addition to Brookdale, because you've managed to find a new winemaker who's got just a little bit of family history in making some decent wine.
Yes, Zander Sardi. Yes, he joined us in November. So Zander's joined us in November, and is probably the most enthusiastic person I've ever met. He's everywhere all of the time.
I think he's a terrific addition. He does have the challenge, and it's a reasonable challenge, of picking up where Chiara left off, because
Yes.
she delivered some terrific wine.
Very big shoes to fill.
Some of that wine sits in front of us. I asked you to select
Yes.
a glass. What have you chosen for
Well,
us?
I've chosen the Brookdale Chenin Blanc single vineyard. Old vine single vineyard. This is the first wine that we made here. We made 2 barrels of it in 2017, and obviously it's the original vines from the estate, so it has big place in my heart for this and for the estate itself. It's part of its history.
Oh, well,
So,
cheers.
cheers.
The colour already is magnificent.
Yes.
Oh. Oh, that's rich and voluptuous and inviting and almost Tim Rudd-like, really, I think, if one was it. There is just something about old vine South African Chenin Blanc that makes it unique amongst wine of the world.
No, absolutely. It's I mean, clearly the vines do all the work, really, with this one, but we do have a small amount of new oak with this to add to that richness. And I think this is a food friendly wine. This is probably not a wine that you'd wish to sit by the swimming pool and drink casually. It's something that deserves to have a good meal with it.
Look, I think if forced to, I could probably manage it by the side of the pool, but it would definitely go well with food. In fact, that's what we'll do a little later. I'm going to go off and annoy your winemakers. In the meantime, Gary in the kitchen is, well, he's just fabulous at what he does. Once he's sorted something out, I'll come and rejoin you, and we'll add to our wine experience with some food as well.
Great. Thank you very much, Dan.
So there we go. The proprietor of Brookdale. It's fairly short in terms of history. It's long in terms of success already, delivering not just great wine, but another great new story as the latest generation of Sardis makes his mark in Paarl. It's a brand new era at Brookdale. The legacy of Chiara Scott will forever be imprinted on the story of this Paarl estate, but there is a new man at the helm when it comes to making wine, and it's somebody I haven't seen for a while. In fact, Zander, I think the last time we saw each other properly, you were Cully Lowe's assistant, helping him smoke meat at the Cape Town Festival of Beer. You'd just about finished school, and at that stage you were very much, well, this is Ibn Sardi's son, and nobody could quite remember what the name was, but they knew you were Ibn Sardi's son. It's changed a lot now, and now you find yourself running this extraordinary property and very much a winemaker in your own right.
Yeah, I mean, back then, pretty much, I wouldn't call myself Cully's assistant. I was more an apprentice, just around flipping some meat and some burgers. And since a lot has changed, studied a bit in Stellenbosch and found myself traveling the world, working at various establishments, very fine establishments, in South Africa, so locally and internationally, which was great. Internationally, always fun to do, but home is best.
In terms of the career trajectory you've had, your dad is not just one of South Africa's greats, he's one of the world's great winemakers, great wine authorities, and he's someone we all both adore and hold in huge esteem. And I think that's got two elements for you. It'll certainly open plenty of doors, but it also means that there's a certain expectation. What has it been like following in his footsteps and creating the Zander story as opposed to just the Ibn son story?
I mean, my father's great, as you met him. He's been a great father. I mean, through my whole life, a very good mentor. But he's always allowed me and my brother and my sister to just be ourselves, not really pushing us in any direction. I just fell in love with wine at a very young age, and I mean, it's not been bad having my father, but I mean, it's been much more of a mentor, and that's also why I'm not working with him because I'm quite enjoying just having him as a dad and not a boss.
And I know you've got an incredibly close relationship. And I know he's enormously proud of what you've done, because already in the build-up to getting to Brookdale, you've had quite a few adventures. There's been a lot of international travel, and you've had the chance to really develop your own identity as a young winemaker.
Yeah, working all over really gave me, and also in various different situations and working with different types of people, have given me big opportunities to develop and find my own way around travel. I mean, that happens with traveling, but not just traveling, also growing up. I mean, that is how you build characters, traveling and seeing new things, having new experiences.
It is such a great aspect of being a young winemaker, and particularly being a young South African winemaker. Our young winemakers are in massive demand around the world. People want South Africans as part of their harvest teams in France, in California, in Italy, around the world. How cool has that element been? Not just learning about how they make wine in France or how they make wine in California, but also just experiencing a very different kind of life.
Yeah, so it's. I mean, as you travel, you work with various age groups as well. It's not just like you're working with young people. In France, the culture. I mean, it's very different to South Africa. They've been making wine, like all we know, for thousands of years. So it's very deep in their heritage. And same in Portugal. I mean, the Newport family, for instance, if you go and visit them, it's the wine is so embedded in them. So that's been a great way of learning how the culture of wine flows. Much different to the New World. I mean, the New World is not trying to catch up. I mean, our wines are excellent and it's up there. But from a cultural aspect, I won't say we're there yet, but also we're not Latin. So there's that side of it as well. We're a bit more, how can you say, we chase a lot more. We're a lot more, like I don't know exactly how to put it, but we're a lot more not energetic, but like we run around. We're on phones in our cars, always busy with business. Where the Latins, they do find time to just chill.
I think if we use my native Afrikaans, there's a great word called "gees,"
Yes.
which I think speaks to a lot of what you're saying.
Yes, most definitely.
It's led you now to this particular space. You found yourself at Brookdale. It's not a very old establishment. It's got a fairly recent history, but it does seem to have a great deal of excitement. In Tim Rudd, it's got a wonderful proprietor, and in Kiara, a great start in terms of the wine journey. What was it about Brookdale, about Tim's operation, that said, yep, Zander, this is where you need to be?
So Brookdale is built on a very firm foundation. The vineyards are planted on the correct sites. It's on the correct rootstocks. It's the varieties that belong here. So from a starting point, I mean, you can't have a greater start. And the vines it is a young project, but it's also not. It's been coming a couple of years, so it's in a very exciting phase.
I think all of those things come together as the composite reasons for joining Brookdale. You wouldn't, though, have said yes if you didn't believe in the wine. And I asked you before we started to choose one particular wine that when you first started having conversations with Tim, you tried this and you thought, yep, in drinking this wine, I know this is a place that I'm going to be able to do something special. What have you chosen and why?
So Bradbourne is a blend of the farm. So Brookdale is planted to various varieties, not just there's a lot of Chenin on the farm and there's a lot of Shiraz on the farm, but it's not just focused on Shiraz or Chenin. There's various varieties planted, and the idea is that we have the field blend, which is something that's completely on its own. It's a blend already, but otherwise the farm has been planted to be blends, so not have single components. And I find, my favorite wines in the world has always been wines that have been blended, so made separately and blended later on. And that's the Bradbourne. It's a wine from the estate that is essentially different. It's different plots, and then the best parts of that blended together.
So this showcases the best of what is. In terms of what is the best of what is to come, what's your vision as the winemaker? What would you like to see develop over the next few years that gives Brookdale this real signature of being a home of great South African wine?
A great red wine, which is coming up quite fast, and next is making a very, very good high-end red wine.
All right, you're being very, very cloak and dagger about that, so we'll have to come back and find out more about it in due course.
Give it about 3 years.
All right, I must ask you about one other person, because winemaking is very much a team effort.
Yes.
And you have got an assistant winemaker who looks about 11, who is, like yourself, a very, very gifted young member of our wine community.
Well, Chenise, I met Chenise last year, actually at Duncan Savage, and she ate half the Gatsby, which was very impressive for the size that she is. And then, yeah, met her. Well, I've met her quite well whilst we've been here now, and she's fantastic. She's very good. She is very gifted. She's got a good feel for it, and been working together phenomenally. She's, great.
I think you make a formidable team. It's a really exciting time for Brookdale, and maybe not just quite yet, but I think give it a few more years, and they're going to be referring to this slightly older guy on the swaddle as, oh, that's Zander, Sardi's dad. Congratulations on the new role. I think it's a really exciting one for you. I think it's a really exciting one for Brookdale. You've chosen a cracking wine to celebrate with. I look forward to exploring the vineyards with you and watching this journey unfold.
Perfect. Cheers.
So there we go. If there is a all-time great name in South African winemaking, it is Ibn Sardi. For now, we might be needing to change that first name in a few years' time. The winemaking team at Brookdale is both young and dynamic. Zander Sardi is one half of it. Now, he's only been here for 2 months. Luckily, he's got the experience of his teammate to work with because she's been here for 4 months. Chenise, I'm almost saying welcome to you as much as you are to me, because it's still early days here, but exciting days. You guys have got a young team, certainly, but one that seems to be so full of excitement about where you are and what you're doing.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Tell me a little bit about this Brookdale experience, moving in here and really getting your wine career up and running.
Yeah, so my wine journey is pretty interesting. I feel like I was pretty lost in the beginning, as one normally is after high school. But, growing up in a coloured, mostly conservative household, it was a bit difficult for me to find my feet and understand, like, maybe winemaking is for me. And my family doesn't drink wine at all, so they were a bit confused as to why I wanted to study winemaking. But I job shadowed at the Grendel Wine Estate because it's very close to where I live. And then Sir Charles Hopkins, the cellar master, was actually the first person to introduce me to winemaking. And after that, I just decided, I'm going to take the risk. And I studied viticulture and enology at Stellenbosch University for 4 years. And then afterwards, I decided to join the Cape Winemakers Guild Protégé program. So essentially, it's a 3-year internship program where young winemakers like myself get mentored by some of the best winemakers in South Africa. So in my first year, I was placed at Consultation Wine Estate, where I worked alongside Aubrey Beerslaar. So lots of punch downs and only exposed to red winemaking. And then in my second year, I kind of had a 360 moment because I decided to join Charles for my second year. And it was honestly so amazing. At least I got to work with some white wine and some Sauvignon Blanc this time. And yeah, it was honestly being so nice to be mentored by such a legend in the industry.
You had some great mentors in both of them. And Morgan is
Yes.
a very gifted winemaker as well. And then you came into the trajectory of this slightly homeless looking surfer dude in Salt River, who generally looks like someone, if you saw him in the street, you'd probably cross the street to avoid him, because he does look a bit dodgy. But he is one of our great winemakers. I know he's a great friend to you now as well as a mentor. Tell me about the Duncan Savage story and what he brought to your journey.
Yeah, so in my third year in the program, I decided to join Duncan Savage and the team in Salt River at Savage Wines. Very, very different winemaking compared to my first 2 years. But I think it was very important to also see an alternative side and to winemaking and a more creative side of thinking. Because when you study, it's almost like you learn a certain way of what wine is supposed to be. But Duncan introduced me to so many different techniques and alternative methods, like doing pump overs on white wine. So it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And then I also got to bottle my first wine that I made. Because in your second year of the program, you make your own wine, and in your third year, it gets bottled and then auctioned off. And I also think because Duncan specializes in the smaller volumes, that also helped with my bottling and everything. So it went really well. I made a Syrah from grape sourced from Sierras, and it's called the Young Grasshopper. So it's pretty special.
So here's something you might know. I've tried your wine.
You did?
It's not nearly as bad as everyone says.
Oh no!
I have tried your wine and it's delightful.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Okay.
I find my way into these things from time
Yeah.
to time. And I'm not the only one who liked it.
Yeah.
Clearly a guy called Tim Rudd thought it was quite good as well.
I didn't know Tim tasted it either.
What would you like to see play out over the next few years as Chenise winemaker here and the impact you feel you can have on Brookdale?
Yeah, I think Kiara definitely did a fabulous job. But I think also in the future to come, definitely growing the brand even more. We don't have a Brookdale red wine yet, but there's definitely things in the works potentially this year. I think also as the vines start aging and developing more, we'll definitely get a red Brookdale wine out, even more blends potentially. So definitely growing the brand and yeah.
There is a red wine of sorts though, because
Yes.
that's what you poured here, and this would be under the Mason Road label.
Yes.
And this is some GSM, some Grenache Syrah Mourvèdre. I asked you to pour a glass for me of something that spoke to why you wanted to be here and why you believe in Brookdale. Why is this the choice?
So I think the reason why I chose it was definitely because it was a blend. And I think in life and in Brookdale, it's not just one individual factor that contributes to a successful business. I think everybody plays a role and everybody has an impact. Just like your Grenache and your Syrah and your Mourvèdre, how all of them play a different role. So does the team here at Brookdale.
There we go. One of the Cape Winemakers Guild protege success stories, and there are many. Chenise is settling in here at Brookdale, and together with Zander, together with Tim Rudd, and together with this remarkable team, this at Brookdale is a real story to watch. So after a morning spent hanging out with Tim, the proprietor, and his two winemakers, Zander and Chenise, the only thing left to complete the indulgence of another very hard day's work on set with Dan Really Likes Wine is some terrific food. And this is a space that I see pop up time and again when people are talking about great food in the Winelands. And there's plenty of competition because the Cape Winelands have some of the finest restaurants on the planet. But it's this bistro here at Brookdale that is getting a load of attention. And I can see why, because certainly from aesthetics, the food is looking terrific. And I'm going to jump into it in a moment. But before I do that, just to wrap up the wine, Tim, and we spoke about the wine philosophy a little earlier, but having spent some time now with Zander and with Chenise, so I think I've got a combined age of 19, you've got this really young, dynamic team. They're so full of enthusiasm. They are so full of excitement. I'm not sure you could have a more exciting duo guiding you into the next journey.
No, we're very lucky, very lucky indeed. Both of them are a pleasure to work with. We'll see what happens this year. It's their first vintage, but all the signs are that they're going to take on Kiara's mantle and take us further.
Gary, I'm returning. I've eaten your food before.
That you have.
That's when I fell shamelessly in love with you because you delivered us some great meals at the Manor House, and you've now got this new playground And
yeah.
the size of the smile on your face when I arrived showed just how happy you are with this.
Look, it's an incredible space to be in. I mean, you know, just the view from the kitchen alone speaks for itself. And to be afforded the opportunity to do this on Tim's behalf has been an amazing opportunity.
You also have an incredibly busy space. Now, you're not sitting in the heart of downtown Stellenbosch. You're not in a wine farm with 100 years of history. You're a relatively new operation, and yet this has become, if you're in Paarl, you must go to Brookdale Bistro. You've got time and again. That's really rewarding feedback to get.
It is. Look, you know, I believe that, you know, make good food, people will come. You know, we've been blessed with great word of mouth advertising from our guests. And judging by the amount of repeat or return guests we have, I think the food is speaking for itself.
This is a dish you will have had once or twice, I'm sure, Tim. Why do you think it works so well?
It just pairs with the salinity of the seafood, and do you know? I think I'm going to turn that over to you.
Look, it's dry, it's crisp. The seafood is actually quite sweet, and then, like Tim says, there's a bit of salinity which you're going to find in the rice below. So, give it a try.
All right, well, what I'm going to do, normally I would just shovel the prawns down by hand, but this rice is a beguiling prospect. So there we go. It's raisins, it's bacon, it is some mystery element, which probably means it's illegal, which is why he's not telling us. So here we go. Prawns, African rice, Africa meets Portugal in the heart of Paarl.
That's a yes.
That's glorious. The prawns on their own are fantastic. That rice is a work of magic. Well, there's my challenge then. Give the chef enough wine to try and find out what the mystery ingredient is by the end of the day. I'm going to polish this off and then claim that we misrecorded, so we have to do another 4 plates of the same.
No problem.
I can see why the bistro is proving so popular. Likewise, I can see why the wine's really making a mark. And I love that because, Tim, you've invested so much time and so much effort and so much belief in what was a place with great potential, but certainly needed a fair chunk of TLC, in the words of great estate agents. You've given it plenty of that, and the result, I'd like to think, surpasses even your expectations, because it has become something superb.
Absolutely.
Well, my only word in closing will be that it won't take me quite so long to get back again, because I am enchanted. Gary, the food is wonderful. The wine, as we already know, is an absolute delight, and it has made Brookdale, and I think by extension Paarl, just that more apparent on the horizon for so many as a food and wine destination.
Thank you.
Cheers.
There we
Cheers.
go.
Cheers.
So from Brookdale Estate in Paarl, go back a decade or thereabouts, and there really wasn't much to look at all in a very short space of time. It's turned right around, and if you want a great meal, fabulous wine, and an incredible welcome, well, this is the new culinary and wine heartbeat of Paarl. Cheers.
Cheers.